Hi, my name is Jill. I am from Fanwood, New Jersey. I am 37 years old. And I am very excited to talk to you about angels and my belief in angels. I have so many stories that I could tell that make me truly believe that angels do exist in heaven and on earth. Um, I have lost my grandparents and my dad, and since that time, they've definitely shown me that they're still with me and that they guard me every day. I have no doubt. I had a remarkable story with my grandfather that I have shared with many people, and I have no doubt after that it absolutely changed my belief that angels do exist, and I have no doubt. I was in the grocery store shortly after my grandfather had passed away, and he was old and he was sickly before he passed. So I had been driving him to and from the grocery store and shopping with him for a few months before he passed. So this was my first time back in the store, and I was trying my hardest not to cry, and I was trying, to be strong and not miss him. And I was standing in this one aisle in particular, and I was trying not to cry. And I started to, well up, and I got a tickle in my throat. And I said, "Please don't let me cry. Please don't let me cry." And I couldn't help it, but I started to cough. I got this tickle trying to control the crying, and I got a cough, and I started coughing and coughing. And there was, at the time, I noticed nobody in the aisle with me because I didn't want anybody to see me crying in the grocery store, obviously. And all of a sudden, around the corner came this man. He had no groceries, no basket, nothing. And he resembled my grandfather. He had white hair like my grandfather. He was dressed in tan clothing like my grandfather. And he came up to me and, got my attention. And he looked at me and he said, "Is that you coughing, little girl?" And I was startled because I was, 28 at the time. I was not a little girl, so why would this man be calling me little girl? Other than the fact that that's what my grandfather called me. He always referred to me as little girl. So I was startled by that, and I said to the man, "Yes, actually, that is me coughing." And he said, "Put out your hand." So I, of course, was a little hesitant because this was a stranger, and why am I putting out my hand? But I did. And in my hand, he placed two cough drops. The very cough drops that my grandfather always carried with him. Being an older man, he, had his routine, and he always carried cough drops in his pocket. So in any event, I looked down and was shocked at what I saw. I couldn't believe that this man had just put, my grandfather's cough drops in my hand. And he then proceeded to explain to me that he is an usher in church. Again, my grandfather was an usher in church. This is now getting strange. He said, "Yeah, I usher at church at 5 o'clock mass, and I carry these cough drops with me in case any of the parishioners, need one, and I can give them to them. If I need one in church." This was the very reason that my grandfather carried them. He had a cold many years prior, brought his cough drops to church, never took them out of his pocket after that, always carried them, handed them out when people needed them. This was his thing. Okay. Now I feel like I'm talking to my grandfather. So he, patted me on the shoulder and looked at me and said, "Take care of yourself, little girl." And I was speechless. I didn't know what to say to the man. I then, of course, was crying. I don't think he knew why, but he turned around and walked away down the aisle. And it took me a minute, but when I got my composure, I said, "I need to explain to this man what just happened, what he just did for me." And I ran around the corner, and I couldn't find the man anywhere in the store. I went to stand by the door to say, "Okay, I'm gonna see him when he walks out. I have to get him. I mean, it hasn't been that long. He can't be out of the store." The man was nowhere. Nowhere. Had I not had the cough drops in my hand, I really would have thought that I had dreamed the whole thing. I truly believe that that man was an angel sent by my grandfather. He knew that I needed him at that time. He knew that I was missing him being there, and he wanted to let me know that he was still with me. And ever since then, I have no doubt. Since then, my father has also passed away, and it's only been a year and a half, and in the last few months especially, I have seen more signs, you know, from him, and more belief that angels do exist. I truly believe that I'm very lucky, and I would like to know that they are truly still with me, and that this really is, what I'm believing. What I'm believing is true. What I've seen firsthand is true. So I'd love to be able to speak to Rosie about that, and hopefully have her validate some of my beliefs. So I hope you consider me. And that's my story. Thank you.